object of TaxiChronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have someone all the way across from the other side of the pond. You spoke about cycling.
Yeah.
How are you? What kind of bicycle do you have? Do you have a racer? Do you have...
Yeah, so about a year ago, actually, I got a really nice Ribble carbon fiber. Mm-hmm. So I've got like a pretty nice like road bike, race bike. But just because now I'm starting to like really start getting into training in the next 3 months for this cycle, I'm starting to actually get a lot more stuff for it, starting to get a bit more personalized and tri-bars and things like that. So yeah, I've had the bike for about a year, but now I'm just starting to put all the pieces finally together to get it all ready. So
you've
nice.
Got all the kit, all the outfit?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah.
Do you feel like a special kind of person when you put it on, like it's like you're Batwoman, or is it Catwoman kind of thing? I can't say I do, to be fair. It's not my preferred uniform. Like, I'd prefer to have a football jersey on, right? Oh, okay.
But it works for the time being, and it's all right.
Where have you cycled to? You said you're going to cycle this 160 kilometre or miles.
Yep.
Cycle. What other cycles have you done?
To be honest, I haven't done that many large ones. I think my largest before this was about 60k. So this will be quite pushing the comfort zone. But in terms of like training, I've already started and done that for about 4 weeks now, and then there's about 12 more to go, so I'm pretty confident in being able to finish it. It's a matter of hitting the time I want. But I've got a trip planned to Amsterdam and then a couple of trips to Brighton as well to try and get a bit more familiar before the big long one.
When you're cycling and you're doing your training, do you just get on a cycle and ride? Or do you have designated points? I need to reach this by this certain period of time. So actually, I sit in at the moment, because it's been so cold, I've not done much outdoor. I've been sitting inside in specific like classes. They're about an hour and a half, and they're specifically for like longer cycles and like triathletes. I think is really what they're fitted toward. And they just go through all of you do an FTP test at the beginning of the class. It kind of like meters out where you should be. Sorry, what's FBT for the listeners?
Oh yeah, FTP is like functional threshold percentage or progression.
Is that worked out based on what your heart rate should be, based on your size or your performance? So it's just based on, it's a test. So in the class, because the class is only about an hour and a half, you'll do like an 8-minute FTP test, and you'll just ride as hard as you can you should ride at about 70% of what you could sustain for an hour. So usually you try and really push it to see what your actual threshold is and where you can actually like maintain. And then after that, you kind of are marked in that your level, and then you go through different zones. So the instructor will be like, oh, you should be in this zone at this, RPM, which is how fast you're cycling. So it's just helping you with your interval training and getting kind of used to just going through those steps, which is really good. And I think it's the only way to train to do it. The idea is to enhance your fitness. So when you're in a class, there's screens, and it will say like zone 1, you should be cycling at this level now for this period of time. Zone 2 will be such and such.
Yeah, it's like
have the different categories, and everybody's doing their thing. Yeah,
it's based on you. So it's based on the test that you do at the beginning, and then it's basically colored. So white, blue, green, yellow, red. Red being like your max threshold. Yeah, it's good.
I'm a big fan of jumping in the pool. I like to, after any training session, I always want to get in the swimming pool. So that's why I go to the specific gym I go to. Are you like that? Do you always make sure you get in the pool or sauna or steam room stretching or that kind of thing, or you just I'm off now, I've had it.
No, I'm actually super big on mobility. So I do spend quite a lot of time before and after stretching and foam rolling and make sure that I get a lot of the lactic acid out if I can. But in terms of swimming, I'm not the biggest fan of swimming, I won't lie to you. That, for me, like when I did the triathlon, was the toughest part. And I can't even, at the time when I did it, I wasn't even supposed to be running on my injury, and I was still.
You said rolling. When you say rolling, as in it's a cycling term?
Like foam rolling? Like
okay.
Yeah.
There's foams you roll your body on
Yeah.
to remove the tension.
Yep.
And get the thing to, okay. So tell us about that triathlon.
Yeah.
What made you want to do the triathlon, and what was the distance, and how did you feel when you hit your various walls?
Yeah. So I was going to do an Olympic. That was what I signed up for, and I thought, okay, I signed up about 8 months before I was going to do it, and I was like, okay, I should be. This was at like a year of my recovery from my knee injury, so I was like, okay, I should be able to do these things by then. Like, let's just do it. Let's just sign up and then start training. And then about halfway through, we kind of realized that my knee wasn't cooperating as well as we had hoped, and it wasn't really where I was supposed to be at. So in terms of training, I only could really do swimming and cycling. I couldn't do any of the running. Yeah. So So I was gonna do an Olympic, which is 1,500 meters in the pool, or in our case it was in the sea, and then a 40k cycle, and then a 10k run. And I ended up dropping back down to a sprint, which is half of that for everything. So 750 in the water, and then 20 on the bike, and then 5 running. And I finished it. And to be honest with you, I was quite shocked that I finished it.
Where was this?
Brighton, near Brighton.
Okay,
yeah.
So in the sea,
Seaford.
750 meters in the sea.
Yeah, and it's tough, actually. Yeah,
Sea's cold. You was in a wetsuit.
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
What thickness was a wetsuit? 2.5.
Yep.
2.5?
Yep.
And then you just strip that off and then start running.
You strip that off and you grab your bike. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so it's swim,
bike, run.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, otherwise you could drown.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
It's true.
But your muscles are doing different things.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's one of those things where I have so much respect for people who do it super competitively, especially those who do like Ironmans and big long like duathlons. I have a lot of respect for people who push their body to the absolute limit, because it's quite exhausting. And I'm doing 160k on the bike, but there are people who do, like, when they do an Ironman, are doing like 3,000 meters in the pool, and then doing 160k cycle, and then they're doing a marathon. So it's like crazy to think that people are pushing themselves like that.
No, I hear you. What was that feeling mentally when you were cycling and swimming, doing the triathlon in general?
It's just a hard one, right? Like, I think for me it was not focusing too much on the injury, and like trying to just stay in the moment and trying to actually just push through and get to the end. You have to have a lot of mental grit, right? You have to really kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone. And I think, truthfully, like, the first thing that goes isn't actually your body. I really think it's your mental state. So trying to keep my mind just like finish, like, it's hard. And especially because I think it had been only like 5 or 6 days earlier I was hit by a car on my bike. Yeah, so I was already kind of like banged up, and like, so I was like, oh. But, and I could have used it as an excuse to kind of get out of it, right, and like not do it. But I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Maybe your heritage isn't English. Maybe you're Viking. Like you're just there for traveling and taking blows.
I couldn't quit. I couldn't do it. I was like, nah. So yeah.
Okay. So what I'm really interested to find out is that what drove you? When to get your mind right? What was it that you clung to, that you just told yourself?
Truthfully, like, because I think I have struggled so much not being completely like 100% me since the accident. 2 years ago. I think for me it was like kind of trying to push myself to be, you know, like tell myself that like this makes me normal, like this makes me on par with other people, and like if I can finish this, then I am, you know, I'm more like myself than I thought. Because I for a long time I lived in this like mental kind of hole, trying to get better, but then not being, you know, the same level of fitness and the same person really because of what happened. And I think it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, I have to do it. Like I have to do it for me. I have to finish it, because if I had quit, I think it would have derailed a lot of my recovery since, like, because this was 8 months ago and I'm still trying to get back to football, right? So I think had I not finished, it would have really derailed me. I think finishing was like the only option, because it kind of pushed me forward and it's given me more motivation to get back to that level of play.
It sounds like mentally you're building your strength stronger than you would have been when you started.
Yeah, 100%. And that's tough, right? Because like I think when I got hurt, I didn't really know the implications of like the mental side of things, and then you learn really quickly that you're not. It actually is harder to overcome than the physical side sometimes. So, yeah. But you have to, and you just kind of you can hit walls, and that's fine. But you have to just push through them, and at times it's going to be really tough. But once you do, I think once you come out the other side, you appreciate all of the hard stuff that you've gone through. So.
Do you have walls that you know that you hit at certain distances?
Yeah, I do. And like for me, like running wise, like it's so low right now. Even at like 5K, I'm like, wow, I'm struggling, and that's because I'm still not fully like able to run like long distances, and that's like something that we're still working on. But like for me, running, that's my wall. For cycling, I think it's probably about, I think I can probably sit on a bike right now for about 60K pretty easily, but then after that my body and my legs and my mind are just like, what are you doing? But I feel okay about that at this point, because I've still got 3 months to kind of get, you know, inch my way up that ladder to get closer to about 160. Obviously I'm not going to be at 160 when I race it. I'm hoping to be at about 120 and then be able to push the last 40, but yeah.
They say you should never train to your peak.
Yep.
Because then on the day you can burst through. But then I kind of see that as kind of quite controversial, because the idea is you train to what your peak is, what you feel, and then on the day you rest a period prior, and then a couple of days or a week, and then on the day you push through your maximum, because you're totally recharged. It's a bit like charging these cars. If you rapid charge it, doesn't work. It doesn't help for very long.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person who's interested in becoming a cyclist?
I'd say do it. I think for whatever your motivation is, you just kind of have to find it and like ask yourself what you want and like where you want to be, like fitness wise and athletically, and what you kind of gain from it. It's all about like your motivations and what drives you. And I think if it's something that you're interested in, I'd say give it a go and just try it out and see where you get. Like start small and then start working up to bigger goals, and especially if you want to do like competitively, like or do races, or you know, because I think cycling is a good segue into triathlons. And I think it's just, you know, it's good to have hobbies and to kind of like, so like we all work really long days and we all have, you know, go through the 9 to 5 grudge, but it's like, what do you do outside of that, and you know, what keeps you happy? So yeah.
And prior to a triathlon, how long do you train for?
How long did I train for?
Yeah, so you know you've got a triathlon coming up in July.
Yeah.
Like a boxer will usually want a minimum of 3 months before he has his prize fight.
Yeah.
How long do you give yourself to train?
That one I gave myself about 6 months, but I was hoping to do an Olympic, and that was going to be my first. I think a lot of people who maintain fitness and who do it quite regularly would probably need about 3 to 4 months. But if you're a new beginner, I'd say probably do 6 months, because I think you'll hit quite a few walls, and I think you'll hit points where you're like, you know, frustrated, and so just giving yourself a little bit of extra time just to like train and like get through those is probably a bit better, but that's just my own personal opinion. So
I know we spoke about quite a bit of mental things.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you need to have a very good control on your personal life mentally? So I found before when I've been training and the trainer said, you're not in the mood today, you can see what's going on, and then it's like you've had a row with the missus or something and your mind's not there, and for some reason your body's just
not cooperating.
How would you, can you relate to that, and how do you handle that?
I can relate to that. I think that's it's really true. I think like the things that happen throughout the day carry through, and you can hit walls based on like just your mood and like how you feel, and like I think to get through it, for me, like I tell myself that I want to get better, and like putting in the work now is kind of the only way forward. Like it's kind of, for me, it's like a bull's mentality. Like you just have to trudge through it. Like I might feel like absolute garbage today, like I might be in a bad mood, but like at the end of the day this will probably make me feel better. And it does. Like you just have to remember those times where you didn't want to do it, you did it, and then, you know, because then you're more likely to go, okay, I'm just gonna do it. But like not training, or, you know, I think that's the worst thing. Like you can have a bad day and it can be not your best session, but at least you showed up. Like it's those days where you don't even show up and you just sack it off, and I think that's the worst. And it's just kind of sets in your mind this like precedent that you can walk away from things and quit things, and
don't be a quitter.
Yeah, absolutely, don't do it.
You've been a great guest.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
It's okay, more than welcome. What does the future hold for you?
Oh, you know, I don't know, to be honest. I've got this, we'll do the cycle, we'll continue on with work, we'll hopefully be playing a bit of football here in the next few months, and yeah, we'll just live life, to be honest. Let's see where we go.
Have we got you for life in England?
You may have me for life. We'll see in the next year, but I think probably at least in some capacity, yeah.
Okay then. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.